15-year NBA veteran, 3-time NBA champ. He's only one of 4 players ever to win 3 NBA championships with 3 different teams, but cares about rings when you're the Audacy NBA insider. What's up, Danny? Thanks for joining us, man.
What's up, fellas? How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
We're doing well, and by the way, Audacy NBA insider Danny Green, and they are brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure. Obviously, the big topic of conversation out here, Danny, is Andrew Wiggins right now. Last year, Andrew missed 25 games because of personal reasons, and this year he's going to miss at least 2. He's missed Tuesday and Thursday. We don't know what's going on with Andrew, and Steve Kerr indicated to our station yesterday he's not sure when he's coming back. How do you deal with that as a team, not knowing maybe when you're going to have somebody and when you're not going to have somebody?
It's tough, man. I said I've been through it when we were in San Antonio. You know, unfortunately, the Kawhi injury and the situation. We weren't sure when it was happening. We just have to continue to move forward as a group, stay positive, pick each other up, especially missing one of your star players. I said it's tough to mentally grasp that, especially if you don't know how long. But obviously, I don't think it's going to be too long for him. We didn't know what the duration would be with Kawhi, but we didn't think it would be too long. And then at one point, you know, Pop had to address us and let us know that, you know, we have to kind of move forward in regards of thinking that he's not going to be with us. So in that time, we're like, all right, we're going to play most of the season without him. We didn't know what that meant. But then toward the end of the season, we're trying to ask him what was going on and where his mindset was and just how he felt, you know, physically. So, you know, you never know what guys are going through. You have to respect their privacy, their family life, their personal life. And said hopefully it's not something too major, that he'll be back sooner than later, and that they can finish out these last, 12 to 14 games with them.
Danny, I hear you, and I'm not trying to be messy because we want to respect what Wiggins is going through, but it's crazy, the timing of this. This is almost, reminiscent of last year around the same time. But just take us inside that locker room. You kind of just did. How hard is it for your teammates to kind of not have your back, but not be bombarded by the questions? And do you think there's some Warrior players that may not know what's going on, Danny?
Yeah, of course. I think there's plenty of guys that don't know what's going on. I mean, I was there with Kawhi. I didn't know what was going on. I kind of still don't. I didn't want to pry or inquire or ask him. That's his personal life. If he wanted to share, cool. Some guys did. Some guys asked. But it's just tough, said as a group, as a team, because you're always going to have to continue to be, I guess, the middle person of trying to answer questions for somebody. So that can be annoying, especially with today's media. I mean, back then, avoiding or, I guess, soothing or smoothing out certain situations and keeping things under wrap. It's not the same as it was then as it is now. So there's going to be a ton of questions of everybody trying to, media trying to get something leaked or somebody to steal something. So it's just annoying instead of having to deal with it. It could be a distraction. I don't think it's something. Last year, he had, I think it was a sickness in the family. Hopefully it's not that again. I said the duration he was out was longer last year. Hopefully it's not that same scenario, same case, but you have to, move with some, sensitivity or some type of, empathy when it comes to this, because you never know what some people are going through. People are quick to jump on the negative. People are quick to, bash somebody, but you just never know until you find out the truth of what's really happening and then see, we're kind of insensitive and we should have, moved a little differently and, taken this into consideration that this person has a family, has kids. We don't know what was going on with that. And, people then have to backtrack and apologize. So hopefully, you said, people don't do that and have to, they stick by his side and be true fans, not just of his game, but as a person, because he's a good kid, a good man. He's a grown man. But, I do hope that he bounces back or comes back sooner than later, because we all want to see, Golden State in the playoffs.
Danny Green joining us on 95.7 The Game, 15-year NBA veteran, 3-time NBA champion. If I ask you, Danny, I want you to kind of handicap the Western Conference. The Warriors right now are 10. The Lakers are 9. Do either of those teams come onto your radar if I say, we're talking about the Western Conference finalist type of team? Do you still think either of those teams has a chance to make that kind of a run?
Western Conference Finals? No, I don't think so. I do think they have a chance to get in the playoffs and make a good, like I said, a good run before the playoffs to get to a playoff position. and be second round team at least. Now it's going to be tougher for Golden State without Wiggs. I really, then the playoffs is not going to have both those teams out of there. But with Golden State now having Wiggins, it's tough to see them making that stride. But I do see Klay playing well. He's playing better. I see him picking it up and hopefully getting back to his normal self, which we'll say pick up the slack and hopefully, fill some of the shoes of Wiggins being gone. But, Lakers are starting to win some games. The Warriors were winning some games. They were winning, like it's 9 out of their last 12 or something like that, or 9 of 13 or 10 of 13. They were hot, but now him being out, this is a tough break for him. So I'm hoping that they continue to just, I guess, progress in the right direction and guys keep playing well, because we want to see both those teams in the playoffs, but I don't know if they're going to make a run to the Western Conference Finals.
Now, Danny, we know you could get hot and shoot with the best of them. And you mentioned Klay Thompson, and he's gone to the bench. He's having some success, but now he'll be getting the ball, some of the passes or majority, from Chris Paul. And, Danny, I never once thought about the quality of the pass that a shooter has to get it before he lets it fly. Can you just speak to that? Because now I'm excited. Like, you know what? Chris is going to give him the ball in the sweet spot, more times than not. How big of a deal is that for a shooter to get it and have success?
It's a huge deal, man. When it comes to shooting, getting it on time, on target, in the pocket where you like it. There's guys that I love playing with because they're my guys. It was just harder to play with them because of the timing was off, and it's hard to get the shots that I'm normally used to getting. There's times when I had to change where I'm, we're doing drive and kick, and now, we're getting shots off of post feeds now. So I have to be able to pull over when they double in LaMarcus. So it's a different feel, and you have to get used to it. When team changes, you have to change. Your shot changes. So it makes it easier when you have a guy that knows well or is looking to just facilitate and find you and know where you like the ball. So it makes a huge difference for a shooter when you're getting it, not just on target, but on time when you're in rhythm. Because sometimes you be in a good rhythm and you'll just catch it 2 seconds later in your shot. You've been sitting in a standstill spot or in a squatted spot in your shot position ready for 5 seconds, which is longer than normal. When you're like, by the time you get it, you're like, damn, I rushed it or my rhythm's off. All those things matter, and a lot of people said don't know or see that when you're looking at the average fan. But basketball players know how important it is to be on time on target when you're shooting the ball, especially late in the game.
Insider calls are brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure with capable features like available 8-track all-wheel drive and standard third-row seating. I'm looking at your career, Danny, and you did a little of both. You started 700 games, but you came off the bench for 130 or so. Tell us what Klay Thompson's going through right now, because he started most of his career, all of his career, and now he's trying to come off the bench. What would you tell him, or what would you tell the fans about what he's going through?
I mean, it's a tough adjustment. There's not much I need to tell him because he knows he's been around this league long enough. The fans don't know, but being a starter for your whole career and then come off the bench, it's mostly a pride hit. But now I think he's been playing well. He had one rough game since coming off the bench, but because he's playing so well, I think he's taking it in better stride, because there's multiple things that could happen when you go to the bench. And one thing you don't want to happen is you go to the bench and you're still out of rhythm, because then you're going to be like, all right, I need to get back in rhythm, and I don't want to be the guy complaining that I need to be starting to be playing better. But it's good that he's playing well. But now that said, that Wiggins is out, I fully expect that Klay be starting. I mean, who else would you start over him? Why would it make sense for him not to start with Wiggins being out? Because I don't know if there's anybody else in the roster that should replace that starting spot for Wiggins.
Wow. Hey, Danny, when you watch LeBron and what he did last night at 39 years old, it is incredible. But when you look at what we have here in the Bay with Steph Curry at 35, you played against him. Are you at all shocked that he's still, doing what he's doing at 35?
No, not at all. I mean, there's a lot of 35-year-olds guys at 35 that can play pretty well or move still pretty well. I mean, I thought I could move pretty well when I was 35. I said 39, 40 is a little different. I'm not there yet, so I wouldn't know. But, Steph takes great care of his body. He does what he's supposed to do. He's an elite athlete. He has the resources, and, he has the system to back him. He has the medical staff. They have a great group over there, and they've been doing it for a really good time, a long time, especially since his ankles. He hasn't had any major injuries since he had the ankle injuries early in his career. And, the staff's been doing an unbelievable job of keeping him healthy. So I'm not surprised at all. A lot of it is taking care of the body and mind. And he's one of the more mentally tougher guys that, I mean, obviously you have to be that type of caliber player, especially with, I won't say limited, but he's not the most talented guy, blessed. You know what I'm saying? For him to be MVP multiple times, you have to have a super high IQ and a super tough mind. So it makes perfect sense.
Danny Green joining us on 95.7 The Game, 15-year NBA veteran. I hope this isn't a sensitive question for you. Obviously, you were on the floor when Klay got hurt in the NBA Finals. You were down at that end of the floor. I hesitate to even say you were involved in the play. A lot, there are injuries in basketball, and you were right there. I know it's a fraternity. What's that like? Just being in on a play like that. Have you talked to Klay since then? Is it
for sure?
Yeah, I mean, how does that go? Can you help us?
Fraternity, man. Because we both have had injuries and then surgery, indirectly checked on each other. Like when I was in Memphis when I was last year, he would come over and ask how the knee was doing because going through surgery and going through rehab is not for everybody. It's tough, and he did it twice. So I have the utmost respect for that guy. You never want to be involved in a play where you hurt somebody or end somebody's career. I'm glad that he's bounced back and able to. So he came back off the injury and had a hell of a season. I mean, this season's a little tougher, but to see him have that season after that year, and you said I didn't in any way, shape, or form mean to do that. I was just making a basketball play, but you never want to be a part of that, especially when you said he's such a great player, and then the fans don't make it any easier. But it was good to see him bounce back from it.
Yeah, when you look at the state of the Western Conference, the Warriors are fighting for their life. But let's just say they get past the play-in and they get that 7-game series. Can you give us a team that you would say, you know what? I feel like the Warriors would match up good against them and might be able to beat them.
Ooh, I mean, I'm on the top 3 or 4?
Sure.
Yes.
In the top 3?
Mm-hmm.
There's no team in the top 3 that said the only thing that they could get. I said OKC because they're the youngest. They don't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
I like that matchup for them, and they don't have a bunch of size inside. So I do like that matchup.
How big of a deal is that experience, Danny? How big of a deal is that experience? Because we talk about it.
It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. Minnesota has a little bit more experience, so I think it'd be tougher. But I think both those two teams for them. But I think Minnesota has too much inside for them to match up with. But I think OKC would be the team that I would be like, all right, I think Golden State, because of their experience, they could get out of the first round if they match up with OKC, maybe.
Wow. Hey, Danny, thank you very much for joining us, man. I hope you're enjoying your new role as the Audacy NBA insider, and we hope we can talk to you more in the future.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you.
All right. That's Danny Green, NBA insider Danny Green, Audacy NBA insider Danny Green. Insider calls are brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe. It's equipped for adventure. Mm-hmm.